So today I want to have a conversation about Sha'Carri Richardson's interview after she finds out about her suspension from the Olympic team for marijuana use. I'm Dr. Alicia Granholm of aliciagranholm.com, helping leaders thrive in their leadership and life. So the morning that it comes out that Sha'Carri Richardson has tested positive for THC, the chemical found in marijuana, and has been suspended from the Olympic team, she has an exclusive interview with the Today Show. Now, here's the backstory if you don't know yet. A few days before her Olympic trials for the 100-meter dash, she found out in an interview with a reporter that her biological mother had passed away. So then a few days later, this 21-year-old is racing for a spot on the Olympic team. And at the time of her race, she was in Oregon, where it has been legal to use marijuana for recreational use since 2014. Marijuana, however, is banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency, and so she is suspended from the U.S. Olympic team and will not be able to race, even though she's the fastest woman in America right now. So I want to have a conversation about her interview because, to be truthfully honest, I was pretty stunned by it. Now, I'm no track expert, I'm no Olympic expert, I'm no anti-doping expert. I am an Olympic enthusiast, but that doesn't give me any expert wisdom or knowledge about track and field. I was, however, totally stunned by this interview. And here's why. When asked what led up to her testing positive for THC, here's what Sha'Carri Richardson says. Honestly, I want to take responsibility for my actions. I know what I did. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm not allowed to do. And I still made that decision. I'm not making an excuse. I'm not looking for any empathy in my case. What's the first thing she says when asked about this positive testing and her being suspended and unable to compete at the Olympic Games? I take responsibility for what I did. You guys, who does this? I take responsibility. How long did she wait to share that with the world, with her fans, with her sponsors, with her family publicly? Maybe a day? The night before, she tweeted, "I am human," which likely means that she knew about her suspension for testing positive for THC. So maybe she waited 24 hours, maybe she waited 12, a day. We'll give her a day. She waited a day to take full ownership and responsibility for her mistake. Who does that? As a leadership coach, I have worked with leaders for decades, and I can say that not enough people take responsibility for their mistakes. She didn't deflect. She didn't blame anybody else. She doesn't blame her team. She takes full responsibility for her actions. And then she goes on to say, we all have our different struggles. We all have our different things we're dealing with. But to put on a face, to have to go in front of the world and put on a face and hide my pain, I don't know who you are or who I am to tell you how to cope when you're dealing with a pain or you're dealing with a struggle that you never experienced before or that you never thought you would have to do it. Who am I to tell you how to cope? Who am I to tell you that you're wrong for hurting? Now, I don't know what kind of pain or trauma you have personally experienced in your own life, but I can say that when I unexpectedly lost my dad on Christmas Eve 3.5 years ago and was devastated beyond belief, I don't know how I would have shown up a few days later for the biggest race or meeting or production or what have you of my life. Now, this isn't a commentary about marijuana use whatsoever. Here's what I do want to say. Everyone is carrying around emotional pain, mental pain, emotional stress, trauma, and we all need to be more aware of the reality that we're all carrying something, that we're all dealing with something. And frankly, most of us are trying to hide it. So here's what I love about what Sha'Carri says next in her interview. And still knowing that even though I'm here, I still have to go out and put on a performance for my dream, go out there and compete and do what it is. So yes, definitely triggered. And from there, just blinded by emotions, blinded by sadness, blinded by just hiding hurt, honestly, for the fact that I know that I can't hide myself. So at least in some type of way, I was just trying to hide my pain. This is about the most honest thing I have heard in ages. I can say that as a 41-year-old, I never would have been able to so accurately say that about any of my actions as a 21-year-old. For Sha'Carri to be so transparent and so honest about her mistake and her ownership and why it happened really is stunning to me because I so rarely see it. As a leadership coach, I'm always listening to others to see what we can learn from them and to see how we can apply it to our own leadership in our own life. And here's what's true about all of us. We will all face times of immense emotional and mental pain and trauma that will affect us deeply. And here's what Sha'Carri said about this leading up to her race. So I think honestly, leading up to that, dealing with my mental health, leading up to the games, every time stepping on the track, definitely expected to be a record-breaking time or something like that. So just with that pressure in itself was also just another thing. I had an interview. I was just thinking it would be a normal interview. And then on the interview to hear that information about her biological mother passing away, it was definitely triggering. It was nerve shocking because it's just like, how are you to tell me that? And no offense against him at all. He's just doing his job. But definitely that sent me in a state of mind, in a state of emotional panic, if anything. If there's anything true about life, it's that there are going to be so many things that catch us off guard. Sometimes there'll be things that cause us great joy, and sometimes they are things that cause us great emotional pain and grief. And honestly, it's hard to be prepared for either, but especially something that is so emotionally painful. And here's what's also true about all of us. We all make mistakes. So here's what Sha'Carri says to her fans about her mistake. I would like to say to my fans, to my family and my sponsorship, to the haters too, I apologize. As much as I'm disappointed, I know when I step on the track, I don't represent myself. I represent a community that has shown me great support, great love. And to y'all, I failed y'all. And so I apologize for the fact that I didn't know how to control my emotions or deal with my emotions during that time. So Sha'Carri made a huge mistake. And she knows that she has disappointed so many people, her sponsors, her fans, her family, and she knows the weight and gravity of that disappointment. She knows that she made an epic mistake. And here's what she models for us in this moment when any of us makes a mistake. We all have the opportunity to be transparent. She says, I want to be as transparent as possible with you guys, whether it's good, whether it's bad. When it comes to Sha'Carri Richardson, it's never been a steroid. It will never be a steroid attached to the name Sha'Carri Richardson. And I think this is one of the things I appreciate so much about this interview is her transparency and her willingness to vulnerably show up within hours after a devastating reality that she will not be competing in the games this year and that she will not be bringing home a gold this year, is that she chooses to be transparent. And you and I, every time we make a mistake, we also have the opportunity to be transparent. And I think this interview goes to show the weight that transparency can hold for all of us in a good way. And then she goes on to show us what it is that we too can do with our mistakes moving forward, because we all have a choice about what happens after we make a mistake. Because after all, we are all human. We will all make mistakes, but our mistakes don't have to define us. What we choose to do with our mistakes will. So here's what I love so much about what Sha'Carri says after this mistake. I greatly apologize if I let you guys down, and I did. And I just want to let you all know that this will be the last time the US doesn't come home with the gold medal in the 100. This is just one games. I'm 21. I'm very young. Unlike most, I have plenty of games left in me to compete in, and I have plenty of talent that backs me up because everything I do comes to me naturally. No steroid, no anything. This incident was about marijuana. After my sanction is up, I'll be back and able to compete. So Sha'Carri ends her interview with a vision for the future. She acknowledges and owns her mistake. She takes responsibility for it. She apologizes, but she doesn't let it define her because she knows who she is. I'm you. I just happen to run a little faster. She's not going to let this mistake define her. Instead, she knows what her vision is for the future, and she's going to make whatever changes need to be made and run after it. Okay, so let's have a dialogue about her statement. Comment below and let me know what you thought about her interview. If you like this video, like it, share it, leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.